All right, guys, welcome back to the Pocket Mads channel. It's Maddie here, and today we're talking brand new cards. That's right, the new expansion coming to Pokemon Pocket, Team Rocket's Ambition B4A, is set to release literally tomorrow as I record this. It's going to come out on Wednesday, August 28th, and it is the 25th as I am recording this video. But guess what? The last time we talked about this new set was when the trailer came out and we talked about all of the new cards. Now, today, because the set is coming out tomorrow, I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about it, but about a couple of things in particular, which have been, I think, almost guaranteed. Like, they've been kind of announced informally. They've been data mined, they've been leaked. I don't know where this information came from, but it is supposed to be credible, and I didn't know at first if it was or not, so that's why I didn't want to talk about it. But now we're talking about it because it does seem to me that the couple of cards that we've yet to talk about are in fact coming to the game, and they are definitely something I want to talk about. So we're gonna hop on over to PocketMads.com. I'm gonna pull up these cards, we're gonna talk about them, maybe have some like theory crafting about how in fact we're gonna utilize these cards. So this is the last video before tomorrow's video, which is going to be, of course, about the set and its release. And we're going to do the set review. We're going to go live tomorrow night for the set release to open packs and, you know, test out the new cards. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to want to stay tuned. But also, PMPT number 44, the first tournament of this new upcoming season, is this Saturday, August 29th. So link to register will be down in the description below. Definitely go tune into that. Awesome. Okay, anyway, that's the intro. So yeah, a lot of these cards were previously, I guess, announced, and I'm on PocketMads.com on the card search. PocketMads.com, the greatest website of all time. And I just basically searched by Team Rocket because the two new cards that I am most interested in talking about are new Team Rocket's Pokemon. And in fact, they are EX Pokemon. Let's just sit here and appreciate how absurd some of these new cards are going to be. We don't have the entire set list yet, so you're going to have to kind of wait and see, you know, to have the entire context of this new expansion, all of the different cards, before we can start really theory crafting and, you know, estimating how these new cards are going to impact the metagame. But there is a lot we can talk about. Okay, first of all, two cards to talk about here. The first one is going to be Team Rocket's Raticate EX. You guys have probably seen this card floating around on the interwebs and on social media or whatnot, and we're gonna talk about this here because, oh, guys, I mean, come on now. In the last video talking about this set, I did say basically that there was a lot of hinting, there was a lot of pre-confirmation that we were going to have some type of an effect that came out in the set that was energy stealing, an energy stealing effect, not energy acceleration, not energy discard, but energy stealing, which is not something we have ever seen before, at least I don't believe so, in Pokemon Pocket, and it's a really big deal. Let me talk about Team Rocket's Raticate. This is a Stage 1 colorless EX Pokemon with 120 HP, which is low, right? It's very low. Now, normally, colorless Pokemon have lower HP. It's how they balance the flexibility that colorless Pokemon have. Think about Arceus EX having 130, whereas, you know, Giratina and Darkrai and all of those had a bit more HP, right? So colorless Pokemon, typically less HP. Now, all of the Team Rocket's Pokemon that they have announced have less HP than almost any other kind of Pokemon relative to these Pokemon that we've had in the past. And we could see that if you go back to those legendary birds, the Team Rocket's Articuno, Moltres, Zapdos, you know, these have 130, 120 HP, which is in fact less than their normal non-Team Rocket versions. A lot of speculation about this. There might be some damage reduction effect coming here in the set for Team Rocket's Pokemon. We don't know. Maybe some HP buffing type effects. There's likely going to be more cards coming in the set that buff Team Rocket's Pokemon specifically. And I do think that's likely going to be the case. No surprise to me that Raticate EX has this amount of HP. It's not a lot. 120 is not a lot. You are in range of getting KO'd by almost everything relevant in the metagame in terms of an attacking option, but also keep in mind, you know, even bench damaging Pokemon like Chien-Pao is going to be able to snipe this thing, of course, without, you know, any kind of additional HP modifications. However, this is a colorless Pokemon, and it's got an ability. And guys, listen to me right now. We're off the cuff today. This isn't structured. This ability is potentially, and I mean this, like potentially the most ridiculous, toxic thing that has ever come to Pokemon Pocket. Okay, I don't say that lightly. Let me read to here this ability. It's called Thieving Incisors. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, meaning Team Rocket's Rattata, you may move a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to this Pokemon. This is not on a coin flip. This is not a 50-50. This is not a particular type of energy. This is any random energy on your opponent's active Pokemon, and it does not matter. It does not matter if Team Rocket's Raticate is being evolved in the active spot or on the bench. We are stealing energy. We are taking an energy from our opponent's active Pokemon, and we can do that presumably any time of the game after our second turn or after our first turn, right? You can evolve, not the same turn that you put down Rattata. So anyway, what is going on here? This is a really big deal. I, for one, think this ability is crazy, but you got to understand that this is a colorless Pokemon that is just a stage 1 Pokemon. So there's really nothing stopping any deck in the entire game from just playing Team Rocket's Raticate in their deck. There's literally nothing stopping you from doing it. In fact, you could play a 2-2, Team Rocket's Rattata Raticate lineup in your deck, no matter what that deck is, and it's only taking up 4 cards. Now, this effect alone, in my mind, is definitely worth doing. And I am touching my hair a lot. Somebody commented on the previous video. My hair is too long and I need to cut it, so I apologize if I touch my hair a lot. Keep in mind, this is something that you can put in basically any deck list, but it is also a colorless Pokemon, and that attack there, 2 energy, 70 damage, nothing spectacular, but it is a 2 colorless energy, which in fact is on a Pokemon that steals energy and does 70 damage. So the thing about Team Rocket's Raticate to me is that it's incredibly flexible. It's really easy to throw this in really whatever deck you want to, but also keep in mind that it will take advantage of all of the Team Rocket's specific support that we're likely going to be getting in this upcoming set, which is releasing tomorrow. This, to me, is what I really wanted to talk about because, again, I think this is probably the most toxic thing, or if not one of the most toxic things that we've ever seen in Pokemon Pocket. I don't think people generally understand what that means. Like, most decks in the game right now, if you look at basically any meta deck that is currently popular in the metagame, they have a Pokemon in the active spot that they are pretty reliant on attaching 1 or more energies to utilize that Pokemon. Literally any deck list. And now, the other thing you got to understand is that, if you're able to steal energies from your opponent's active Pokemon, then that means you're able to force them into committing energies to their bench Pokemon, which, of course, pairs extremely well with certain strategies that can pressure the bench. Okay. Now, basically, any deck playing Team Rocket's Raticate is going to have a distinct advantage over any deck that's not. Now, it does have some downsides. As I said, Chien-Pao is a Pokemon that you can set up on the bench, bring in and snipe the Raticate. It's a 2-prize Pokemon, though, so effectively, it's really only worth 2 points no matter how you slice it. It's really no different than like most other, 2-prize bench-hitting Pokemon like an Ogerpon or an Indeedee. I know you can starting planes and stuff to give them more HP, but you could also have more than one Raticate, and you could play it. Also, if you do lead Raticate, you can go turn 2, evolve, steal their opponent's active Pokemon's energy so that you have 2 on your active and they have 0, and just to start attacking for 70, which is an interesting number because it does KO a lot of basic Pokemon before they evolve. So this is going to be a very, very strong Pokemon going first or going second, basically, because your opponent will always get a turn to attach regardless of whether you're able to evolve this or not, which is a big deal. I think this has massive implications on the metagame. One, I think energy is like one of the more primary resources in Pokemon Pocket. When you think about how you win games, you got to draw cards and you got to have the energies you need to utilize your Pokemon's attacks, right? And now, yes, even though the energy that we're stealing gets put onto Team Rocket's Raticate, which isn't an incredibly strong Pokemon in its own right, you're effectively going +2 on energies. This is stronger than like Giratina being able to generate a free energy because you're getting +1 energy, but your opponent's getting -1 energy. So it is absolutely ridiculous. Now, this might have serious implications if this card becomes popular enough, if it sees play in enough decks, because it is a really flexible colorless Pokemon. If this Pokemon's popular enough, it will actually drastically change the types of decks and the types of strategies that you see prevalent in the metagame. And I actually think that's very, very exciting. One of the things that we really don't see at all in the current meta are decks that are all about utilizing like baby Pokemon in the active and just sort of setting up a bench Pokemon and bringing it in as sort of that one final option, right? It's not that often. Things like, Suicune, things like, Vespiquen, things like, I don't know, Lucario. They all attach energies to their active Pokemon. If you go down the list, basically every meta-relevant Pokemon in the entire game is attaching, or meta deck in the entire game is attaching energies to their active Pokemon to either deal some additional chip damage to a bench Pokemon with like Hitmonlee or Hitmontop or Pheromosa, things like that, or they're putting some pressure on the active, right? Because again, it's really important to put pressure on the active so that you can set up for future KOs or force your opponent into their Pokemon. Now, Raticate is going to basically stop a lot of these decks from being able to not only utilize their active Pokemon, but also set up their bench Pokemon, right? And most of the meta decks do this, but they do both during the span of a game. So if Team Rocket's Raticate is effectively all over the metagame next season, this is going to open up a lot of decks to just play things like Pichu, like Magby, like Mantike, and just sort of start setting up a really strong bench Pokemon, right? Because it's not worth it to attach to an active if that energy is going to get stolen. So that is going to have some serious implications on maybe which deck lists, and I'm not saying it will, but it has the potential to have some serious implications on which decks are popular and which types of decks are popular next season. This is something that, again, could have massive implications on the metagame. The other thing we got to mention here is that even if it doesn't completely stop decks from attaching to the active, you're stealing energies, and if you are evolving your Raticate, your Team Rocket's Raticate on your bench, you're stealing energies. By the way, I forgot to mention, this Pokemon has free retreat. This Pokemon has free retreat. So it is effectively a free pivot if it's in the active spot, which is a really big deal because of one particular scenario that might become a bit more popular, which is actually just sort of energy swapping. There's a card in the game called Dawn, which allows you to just move an energy from your bench to your active. Now, that is a supporter card, and it's not that great of a card, but, if you're playing Team Rocket's Raticate, which can steal any type of energy, if you pair this with any other Pokemon that you want to attack within the active spot that has a colorless energy in the attack cost, you can use Team Rocket's Raticate to steal the energy and then actually move that energy from Raticate to the Pokemon you want to attack to, i.e. your Team Rocket's Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, or literally anything else in the game that you would like in the active spot attacking with a colorless energy in its attack cost. And there are a lot of those types of Pokemon available. So again, the implications of this thing are absolutely insane. When you take a look at some of the other Team Rocket's Pokemon, the other Team Rocket cards, they aren't necessarily specifically, especially the new ones, they're not necessarily directly related to stealing energy or, moving energies, things like that. So I do suspect that this concept will likely be built upon a little bit further. What's interesting is that Team Rocket Grunt is already in the game, and this is on a coin flip, a card that discards energies. So you could have Raticate that steals energies. You could play Team Rocket Grunt, which removes energies, potentially. Could be hyper toxic. You could pair Team Rocket's Raticate with things that stop your opponent from attaching to the active. Things like Alolan Ninetales, things like that, which seems counterproductive, but could be really interesting at first glance, or Bayonet is another example of that. The possibilities are generally endless, but I do suspect that because Team Rocket's Raticate is coming out, we might be getting another new card or something that maybe allows us to move energies from, Raticate to our other Team Rocket's Pokemon a bit more easily or a bit more consistently. That could be an interesting inclusion to the metagame. As I said in the previous video talking about this set, we are getting Team Rocket's Thieving Machine, which allows you to steal a random item card from your opponent's discard pile. This card has a lot of potential, but I don't know if it's going to be that popular in the metagame, but it is interesting nonetheless. And then, of course, we're getting Team Rocket's Boss, which allows you to put your opponent's basic Pokemon from their hand onto their bench. This is a card that, again, is also a little bit strange. However, for things like Suicune, which require more Pokemon on the bench to deal more damage, or any strategies that like to deal damage to the bench, this card could be a nice inclusion into those types of decks, right? Suicune, Qianpao, I could really see it playing Team Rocket's Boss because both Suicune and Qianpao could utilize the effect here of this supporter card, right? It could be kind of like a trump card. It could just be like a, hey, I know you're not benching, but I'm going to go ahead, and you can put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. So maybe your opponent is just not benching anything, and then you play Team Rocket's Boss, and all of a sudden you grab 2 or 3 basics from your opponent's hand, and Suicune's dealing 60 more damage, right? So it is a very effective card in that sense. Or you could be like, hey, give me that Ogerpon. Slap that Ogerpon down. I'm going to come into Qianpao here and KO it for game, right? So in Suicune Qianpao, and really any Qianpao deck, but particularly Suicune Qianpao, I think Team Rocket's Boss has a lot of potential. But again, these cards don't feel like they directly link or synergize necessarily with Team Rocket's Raticate. This, to me, is in general just a broken card. I mean, this is a crazy card. Are you envisioning this yet? Are you understanding what's going on here? A splashable, colorless Pokemon that steals energies on a guarantee. Literally, it's not a coin flip or anything. It's a guarantee, which is crazy. It's crazy. So this is something I really wanted to talk about. This thing has massive implications on the metagame. I'm not trying to doom and gloom or anything, but anybody that does not appreciate these sort of toxic types of decks, you know, trust me, if Team Rocket's Raticate is floating around everywhere, you're going to have to build your deck accordingly, which is going to be, of course, you know, maybe not playing the types of decks that commit energies to the active Pokemon. And, you know, stealing an energy or getting an energy stolen from your active Hitmonlee or Hitmontop or whatever might not be the biggest deal, but then what it does do is stop you from really being able to continue to put pressure, you know, with your active Pokemon while committing energies to the bench. In a Mega Lucario scenario, you, of course, need to start attaching to Lucario before, you know, it gets too late because that is your primary win condition. But again, just keep in mind that if you're not putting pressure on the active or on the bench with your leadoff Pokemon, then how are you kind of forcing your opponent to go into their Pokemon, right? So Raticate does that quite effectively. Yeah, you know, I think retreat costing cards are going to be even more relevant. You know, being able to kind of run those X speeds so that you can kind of retreat for free with no energies on your active is going to be a big deal. But like I said, I just think those baby Pokemon, this is a card that is going to make baby Pokemon a lot better. That's what this card is going to do. It's going to retroactively buff those baby Pokemon, not even the energy accelerating ones, but things like Bonsly, things like, you know, Chingling, like those types of cards that just they don't require energy attachments to the active. Any deck that is built around utilizing those baby Pokemon in the active, I think will be, you know, retroactively buffed through the inclusion of Team Rocket's Raticate. Now, the other thing, again, and I just want to mention this, because this is a colorless Pokemon, you can play this in anything. So let's just brainstorm. The one thing that came to my mind like almost instantly, and I've seen some people theorizing Alolan Ninetales, things like that. The thing that really stood out to me here with Alolan Raticate is like, why not just play this with Sleep Scam? Like at the end of the day, if you're able to, you know, play Sleep Scam and then also just play these Raticates to steal energy, like what is your opponent effectively ever going to do? Right? Imagine where it's like, because Sleep Scam oftentimes pressures your opponent and it forces them into certain things. So imagine you're playing Sleep Scam and your opponent's like, you know what? Like, whatever, you can KO my active. So I'll go into my bench Pokemon that I set up. And then they go into it, they KO your Igglybuff. Then you go into your second Igglybuff and you say, I'm going to put you asleep and steal your energy. And if you can't attack next turn, then I'm going to steal your energy again with a second Raticate, keep putting you to sleep. It really is quite toxic. So there's a lot of opportunities for already toxic strategies to just fit pretty seamlessly with so I'm going to say Alolan Raticate, Team Rocket's Raticate. And I'm really, I want to be very careful in presenting that as an option because maybe it's not going to be very good. Sleep hasn't been very good this season, other than I guess maybe this past weekend at PMPT 43. But yes, Team Rocket's Raticate is absurd. This is a crazy card. We need to understand what this card means to the overall scope of the metagame because it's becoming a little bit, it's crazy. This is crazy. It's a crazy card. Now, a couple other things we're also teased. We have Team Rocket's Pincurchin, which does 20 in poison on a lightning Pokemon. Team Rocket's Slowpoke, which puts a random item card from your discard pile into your hand, which is pretty cool. Which means we will be getting a Slowbro, a Team Rocket Slowbro. I don't know what that card is going to look like, but I want to talk about the other leaked card, which is actually another EX Pokemon, which is Team Rocket's Weezing. Okay, Team Rocket's Weezing. Another card with a really quite interesting ability. This one is a stage 1 dark type, 140 HP, weak to fighting, and it has 2 retreat cost. But this is yet another like kind of bench sitting Pokemon that has a really, really strong ability. And it's got Boiler Smog. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned and burned. That's right. So it's poison and burn. This is really interesting. This means that you could pair Team Rocket's Weezing with some other Pokemon that take advantage of attacking either poisoned or burned Pokemon, because those do exist, and they do exist for the dark type as well. I don't know exactly which cards those are. I can't really remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. I don't want to look it up, but maybe it's like Salazzle or Arbok or something like that. There are certain Pokemon that deal more damage to both burned and or poisoned opponents. So Team Rocket's Weezing is a card that's going to be able to deal a lot of damage kind of from the bench. Again, poison is 10 damage, but it doesn't go away. And then, of course, burn is 20 damage every other turn, but you coin flip to remove the burn. So it's really interesting, and you could pair this with Nihilego to boost that poison damage. So all of a sudden, you got burn and maybe a couple Nihilego poison ticks, you know, and then all of a sudden, like, you're just adding 40, 50 damage every turn, you know, for effectively no cost other than just evolving Team Rocket's Weezing, which, if you haven't seen, has the attack Confusion Gas. So not only does this ability poison and burn, but its attack does 60 and confuses, okay? So you can quickly see where this card could get out of control completely. This is not something that I'm putting as much weight into as Raticate, because there is counterplay to this. We have the new like Veil tool card, which protects you from getting status condition, but also we have, you know, Pokemon Center Lady to break out of all of this stuff if you did need to play it. So I don't think this is as big of a deal. Ogerpon also still stopping this. So there's other cards in the game, just like the sleep. It's anything that counters sleep is going to counter Team Rocket's Weezing. But yet again, something that can just be tacked on top of the sleep scam. Okay, so again, if you're playing Team Rocket's Weezing and Igglybuff Darkrai, why would you not just do that? And Igglybuff can potentially basically just by attacking with Igglybuff, you could deal like 80 damage, right? With a Weezing and double Darkrai, like between the sleep scam, which is a coin flip anyway, plus the burn, plus the poison, plus the Darkrai pings. Like it gets completely out of control here. This is something that could be super, super toxic. And again, you know, Weezing and Raticate are Pokemon that are effectively going to be able to provide value from the bench, which is always a really, really big deal. We're also getting Team Rocket's Master Plan, which I forgot about. And this is also Confusion in the form of a coin flip on a supporter card. Okay. So status conditions are a really big thing in this set. Confusion in particular, now poison, now burn. Sleep is already something into the game. So, you know, things that protect you from getting status conditioned are going to become, I think, even more relevant than they are now, which is a good thing because stuff like that, there is significant ways to counterplay those types of strategies. But keep in mind, they're kind of getting buffed, seemingly, is what's happening here. Imagine Sleep Scam playing this Team Rocket's Master Plan. So half the time you're confused and you're asleep, you know, like that doesn't sound quite fun to me. But kind of forces you to play the correct counterplay. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, those are really the only two things that I wanted to talk about today. And honestly, guys, like I am really afraid. I don't say that lightly. I'm genuinely quite afraid of Alolan Raticate, or not Alolan Raticate, Team Rocket's Raticate. And I'm less afraid of Weezing, but both of these cards are particularly valuable. And again, we are looking at these cards while also lacking the entire context of the set, which I said before will likely have some additional cards, trainer cards, tool cards, stadium cards, even more Pokemon that are going to be there to buff Team Rocket's Pokemon in general, right? So all of these Team Rocket cards are seeming pretty interesting, but, you know, again, they're going to be coming out alongside other cards that are supposed to be played with them and probably synergize with them. So this is a bit of a quicker video today. I don't really have too much else to say. I did just want to cover this stuff because this is crazy to me, but I would really love your guys' opinions. I would. I'm not going to build any decks yet. I'm going to leave that maybe for like tomorrow's video because this video is already getting a bit too long. But yes, Team Rocket's Raticate, absolutely disgusting. This is going to change the game regardless of what you think. And then Team Rocket's Weezing is potentially extremely toxic and, you know, could, I guess, compound with some other status condition strategies in the game that we already know about to kind of force even more counterplay around, you know, the sleep stuff and the status condition stuff, because both Raticate and Weezing pair quite well, if I'm being entirely honest with you. So this set is looking quite interesting. I don't know how good this stuff will be, because again, I'm a guy that's just all about like damage. If you can KO your opponent's Pokemon, like you're probably doing pretty good. But the energy stealing stuff really kind of puts a wrench in a lot of different strategies, right? So Raticate's going to be a really, really big deal, if I'm being entirely honest with you. And keep in mind, you know, all of the Team Rocket's Pokemon so far have a colorless energy in their attack cost, or at least most of them do. So I do think there's maybe some energy swapping shenanigans that they're kind of meaning for us to do, which means that if we're using Raticate as basically the engine to generate additional energies while also stealing energies, and if we can move energies from Raticate to any of our other Team Rocket's Pokemon in any somewhat consistent or effective way, then you've got yourself some of the most toxic decks and top tier meta decks that we've ever had in Pokemon Pocket. So I make this video just because I want to tell you guys what I think might be coming and how to prepare for it and how to understand, you know, what exactly that's going to mean to the metagame. So baby Pokemon, you know, I'm investing a bit. I'm investing a bit into baby Pokemon leadoffs and decks that play baby Pokemon, maybe low energy attacking decks, maybe hyper aggressive decks. Yeah, no, the metagame's going to be weird. It's going to be a crazy season. this Team Rocket set likely going to include probably some of the most toxic strategies we've ever seen to Pokemon Pocket. So be ready for it. And again, it is coming out tomorrow, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to stay tuned for the live stream and the video in the upcoming days. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. I'm low-key panicking. I'm genuinely afraid. I don't know what to think right now. Things could kind of get turned upside down really, really quickly. But whatever does happen, you know, you're going to hear about it here on the channel, so don't forget to stay tuned. If you want to take a look at everything that's going on in Pokemon Pocket, head on over to PocketMads.com, link down in the description below. And if you want to go register for the first Team Rocket's Ambition tournament of this new season, go on over and register for PMPT number 44, link down in the description below as well. Please comment down below, share your thoughts, share your opinions, share your concerns, your hopes and dreams, everything that you want to share with me. Comment it down below. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you guys next time. And yeah. Bye.